Welcome to season 11 of the Parenting Aces podcast, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. We are so excited to have with us this week Jack Oswald of Cancha Bags. Jack is a former top junior player. He lives in the UK, and after trying his hand on the Pro Tour, he has decided to take a step back and give back to tennis in a different way by creating a product line that tennis players can't live without, really. And so I'm excited for you to hear from him and hear about his Cancha bags and accessories and how he went from junior tennis to professional tennis to business owner. Before I bring Jack on, just a quick reminder, if you're not already, we'd love to have you become a premium member of Parenting Aces. You can do that by going to parentingaces.com and clicking on the join button. Simple, easy, and just totally necessary if you're a tennis parent trying to figure out this junior tennis thing, or if you're getting close to college recruiting time and need some guidance and advice there. We also offer one-on-one consultations, which you can take a look at in our online shop. Again, parentingaces.com, just click on the shop button and it's all right there for you. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and now enjoy my conversation with Jack Oswald. Hey, Jack, thanks so much for joining us on the Parenting Aces podcast.
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you're a first timer, and for all of our first timers, I always like to give you the opportunity to tell your tennis story, how you got started in the sport, and a little bit about your junior tennis experience.
Yes. So I mean, some people know me as the founder of Cancha now, but I had a long history of playing junior tennis and eventually senior tennis. I was born in America, actually, to English parents, so somehow kept the English accent, but we moved over when I was very little to Virginia, and I played sort of a lot of the Mid-Atlantic tournaments when I was younger, but really caught the bug in the States for tennis, and my dad was into it, but yeah, it was just a lot more, availability of courts and everything in the States in comparison to the UK at the time. So I felt very privileged to be there and be playing. And my first ever coach, who became a very, very good friend of mine to this day, was in Virginia and taught me everything he knew. So that's how things got started for me with tennis. And I played a lot of tournaments and around the country that my parents helped me go to. Some of it was my friend who used to take me. His son also played, so he sort of combined that and used to play a lot of tournaments around the Mid-Atlantic. And just kept going from there. I was lucky enough to visit a few academies when I was around 13, 14 and in Florida. And then I went over to France and trained quite a bit in France and back in the UK, and played a bit on ITF junior circuit a little bit. And then started to try and play seniors and the sort of lower level futures circuit, which was a big eye opener for me. And that's where I really was able to travel a lot. And especially, I mean, even as I was a junior, I was traveling quite a bit, but this was, week in, week out, traveling and competing. And it was a lot of fun but difficult at the same time. And it's a lot of where the story of Cancha starts, really, with the ambition behind, traveling for sport and trying to do that in a better way.
Well, let's transition right into Cancha then. As I mentioned in the intro, you are the developer of a new line of tennis bags and accessories that go along with those bags. And, I've had the same tennis bag for at least a decade, maybe longer. And tennis bags aren't something that's really innovated very often. So I think it's really cool that you decided to dive into that area and that marketplace. Can you tell us why you saw a need for a different type of tennis bag?
Yes, I mean, it started really with my travels on the professional circuit, and week in, week out, bags breaking on me a lot during those travels. They're bulky as well. They're, traditional tennis bags are not very built for traveling like that. And I used to go through bags like no tomorrow, breaking on me and zips going. And if you're trying to take a big size tennis racket bag on an airplane, you're going to have some troubles. So it started with all of that, really the frustrations from that, but also just traveling in general for my sport was difficult. And with all the equipment we take around as tennis players, and more so than other athletes. So it's that was where it really started. And also a big part of Cancha was that and the product itself, but also I was, very lucky to be able to pursue my own passion in tennis at a young age. I was supported by my parents immensely in that, and I'm obviously forever grateful for that. And I wanted to create a brand where we developed tools that really empowered individuals to pursue their passions. So we started with tennis, and that's where my background is. But yeah, we've also got other bags for different sports, and use that same mindset in how can we make it easier, more efficient, and more fun.
So you have a bag with you that you can show us for those of you watching this episode. If you're not watching it now, go on ParentingAces.com and check out the video version, or on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I've got our Cancha Racquet Bag here in forest green. Still got a tag on, sorry. And this is our first product of launch. So this is fits 3 rackets inside, 3 to 4 rackets inside. It's got a main water-resistant zipper down the side with a divider. But the really main thing about this bag is the modular design that we spent almost 3 years developing, and it's based on the Molly method, which is used by the US and UK Armed Forces to attach tactical gear. But we simplified that and made it a lot more user-friendly for an average athlete. So these little slots here, we have clips that allow different accessories to attach onto the front of the bag, also the sides. So you can it's really highly customizable, and we use premium materials as well that are water resistant, very durable. We source all of our materials from specific suppliers that uphold certain standards from an environmental perspective, but also from a social perspective. So we really try and combine that innovative design with purpose-built materials to try and create bags that are built to adapt, built to last as well.
Mm-hmm. And talk about the modularity of it, because that's really the unique feature to me of Cancha.
Yes, absolutely. So the modular aspect was based on really the idea that people aren't just taking their rackets to the courts; it's where they're going in between and throughout the day. We wanted to support the daily routine of a tennis player, and so our accessories. We've got 2 main accessories: the wet dry bag, which keeps all your wet clothes from your dry clothes, and also the day bag, which is an independent bag. You can wear it on your shoulder, carry your things for the office and stuff like that, and then attach it onto the racket bag for extra volume. And the whole idea of that is that interchangeable aspect, allowing different accessories to attach to the bags, mean that everyone can customize their bag to their daily routine and lifestyle. And also the bag's built to support that. It's built to go between the office and the tennis courts or travel on a plane to your next destination. And we wanted to really incorporate that into the design.
It's funny because this whole notion of traveling with your bag on a flight for junior families that are traveling to tournaments comes up on a regular basis on our Parents Only Facebook group. And yeah. And, as new families get into the sport and their children start getting to a level where they are having to take flights to compete or to go to training in different parts of the country or different parts of the world, it's a big issue, right? Is my bag going to be allowed to be checked, or to be brought on board and put in the overhead bin, or are they going to make me check it? And then what happens to my rackets? And what happens if they lose my bag? I follow so many players on social media, and there are at least 10 stories a year of players' bags getting misplaced on their way to a tournament. And it's disastrous if that's how you're making your living, right?
Absolutely. And also just from the perspective of junior players, tennis bags are very bulky, big, and for small junior players, they're difficult to take around with them. If they're carrying multiple rackets around with them, it's difficult to carry those in really big, bulky bags. My parents, I'm sure other parents think the same, but they used to worry that when I was really little, I'd topple over, with how big the bags were, and it's probably not good for for the backs of a lot of junior tennis players either, and or the parents end up just carrying them around as well, which can end up happening. So I think our bags, because they're sort of minimal and really lightweight, but also because they're not huge by nature, you can customize them based on what you need for each session. And so for junior players, we think that they're particularly useful, especially when they're really easy to carry around for them, both traveling on an airplane, but also just walking around their club and actually being able to carry their gear easily and take it on a bike and all those sorts of things.
What kind of feedback are you getting from players at the pro level, but also at the recreational level, or maybe the high elite junior level on your products?
Yeah, I mean, I think the aspect of minimalism and being able to travel more effectively is huge for both, for players of all levels, whether they're just traveling across the world or just from A to B around a city or town. So it's we've had lots of players, luckily, who have really taken to the bags. And actually, Harker Road, former I think 30, 40 in the world WTA players, a big advocate of our bags. Vanya King, who also so you've got some pro players certainly who are really liking our bags, and we've also launched a Racket Bag Pro, which is still very lightweight and easy to travel with, but carries a few more rackets in, sort of 6 to 8 rackets inside for more touring players who need that much equipment. But yeah, I think and also the durability of our bags, and that's a big thing as well, and that we ensure that they're built to last.
Absolutely. You've formed a lot of partnerships so far. You're a relatively new company still, but how important are the partnerships to the development and the success of the brand?
Yeah, it's huge, and I've become more aware of that as time has gone on. Starting out, the tennis world is competitive, not just not on the game perspective, but the brands landscape is very competitive, and trying to make your way in there is tough. But I think two things. I think we've been very true to our story and and who we are and our basis in tennis. I think my own story is as a player who spent 20 years, who is still plays to this day, and spent 20 years playing, who I wanted to give back to the sport, and that story has helped us be genuine among our audiences. But also partnerships is definitely very big, and we've with whether it's Tennis Warehouse, who I've become good friends with a lot of the people there, and they've been very, very supportive. I'm hugely grateful to them. They've been very supportive of everything we've done, and but we've also partnered with events, Tiebreak Tennis, sort of a big tiebreak-esque event that's held a lot of around the world. We've just recently partnered with them. And also companies like Slinger as well. We're in close communication with and partnering on a few things. So those really help, because not just because they've got a bigger reach than us, but they also understand how the tennis landscape works and how we can find our way there. So they've been hugely helpful. So very grateful to all of them.
There's been a lot of talk in recent years about the need to innovate in our sport. It's an old sport. It's been around for a very long time. It's very slow to change. There are a lot of people that fight change tooth and nail. I'm among them. Like when, no ad scoring first came out, I was one of those people that's like, no, we have to keep traditional scoring. But I'm starting to come around to some of the changes too. And I think, seeing young players who have grown up in the game start to wrap their head around what needs to happen for the game to continue to grow and thrive is really promising for the sport. And I've come to appreciate the fact that we're starting to see so many private individuals and entities step up and do something different, because what we have been doing for decades is not working so well right now in terms of growing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I think it's not just, it's across all demographics that people, in tennis really like the traditional aspect of it. And I think on one hand, it is really important to hold on to that and the roots of our sport. But yeah, I mean, if you can, just the way things are going with this sort of digital revolution that we're all living through, especially which has really sped up over the last couple of years. I mean, it's becoming a not an if but a when, and these modern changes to the sport are coming. It's hugely, and those people and brands who really embrace that obviously going to be able to contribute more, I think, to the future of our sport. So that's something obviously I want Cancha to be very involved with, and I think it's also not just an aspect from that, but I think also it's becoming more apparent. I think that tennis brands have to be more involved with the tennis community, as opposed to sponsoring a top player, having them wear their things, plastering logos everywhere. And I mean, another thing about our bags is we use very minimal if any, logo anywhere, because for us it's all about personal expression for the player, their own identity and not ours, and being able to empower them to do that. So I think, but also we're, although we're, fairly small in comparison to some of the big tennis brands out there, we're, quite involved with the tennis community, with junior players, starting to sponsor, but also to help them out, but also involved with clubs in the UK and the US. And the reason for that is simply because we, that's how brands need to be in this modern tennis landscape. They need to be involved with tennis and growing the sport, not just trying to profit from it.
So are you keeping the kind of appearance of the bag very simple because you hope to become like the water bottle and the laptop where people are slapping stickers on or patches or, making them personalized like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think well, where we differentiate ourselves is our design. So, Cancha bags are very different in their design, in the materials we use, and their innovative nature. So that's what sets us apart. And people can still notice Cancha bags from a while away because they can actually, they can see that, some very, very modern design that we use to produce our products. So therefore, we don't really feel the need to use a lot of branding. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, I think we're looking, that's the goal. We obviously want people, more and more players to be using our bags, more and more athletes in general to be using our bags. But I think, I think the reason that we hope that the reason that will happen is because it actually, because players feel comfortable using our products and how it benefits themselves versus, maybe what it's portraying to others.
Right. Interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in the college tennis landscape here in the US, but earlier, last summer, I guess by the time this airs, last summer, the NCAA and the Supreme Court ruled that name, image, and likeness can be used in college sports here. And so branding has really gone beyond just professional sports now and is really making its way down into college sports, which then makes branding as a junior player, if you want to be attractive to a college team, it makes branding important at that level too. So I think, it's interesting that you guys are really conscientious about the branding and how you're using it and how you're choosing partners so that you do stay true to the mission and the brand itself rather than straying from that, and I'm excited to see how this takes life in the junior tennis world. I think it's a real opportunity for kids to get the bag and as you said, make it their own, express their brand through your product, and at the same time showcase something unique. And it's exciting. It's really exciting. One of the partners that you have and one of the pieces of your mission is to give back to the environment. And you mentioned that the materials that you use are, that you chose them based on environmental issues. Can you talk a little bit about that side of things? Because as I was mentioning to you off air, I think it's really cool that your generation is putting importance on conservation efforts, environmental efforts, and seeing a new brand emerge that has that at its core is really cool for me. I'm excited about that piece.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, so since we started back in 2018, we immediately became members of 1% of the Planet, which is an organization started by founder of Patagonia, and it's a really brilliant non-profit organization in which partner brands donate 1% of their annual revenue, and that's revenue, not profit, to certified environmental non-profits. And I mean, I love the idea, first of all, because it's not something that you need to be a massive corporation to do. It's 1% of whatever you're earning. So anyone, any brand, any company, any public figure can do this, regardless of their earnings. They can, it's 1% of what relative to what they're earning. So I think it's a fantastic idea, but also you get to choose as a company from their list of certified environmental nonprofits who you want to support, and that's a huge opportunity for us to really do something that's close to heart for us, but also it is really important for brands to set aside a portion of what they're earning to the planet. I feel that it's not so much really whether you should or not. It's really just an obligation for every single brand to be doing this. And I think more and more companies are becoming aware of this, and they're growing hugely as an organization. They're partners, and really amazing part of it. And another thing is that we get to meet like-minded organizations across various different sectors and see how they are, improving the way the way they operate and the way they can do it with minimal impact on the environment. And that's a really big part of it, because it's also an improvement process. As we continue to grow, we need to find ways to do that sustainably. And 1% for the planet is a great help in understanding how to do that.
Can I ask which organization you chose to support?
So we chose a variety of ones. But across deforestation, and that was mainly the one. I think I've been to countries, unfortunately, where for tennis, where I've seen a huge amount of deforestation. So I chose we chose as a company, we chose a few different companies across there. So yeah, that's kind of where we've focused things so far.
What is coming for you in 2022 as the brand starts to become more well-known and you start to get more market share? What's next?
Yes, we've just launched our Racket Bag Pro, which is a new bag for players. We've also got our Cancha Backpack, which is a modular sports backpack for a variety of activities. We have tennis players and all sorts of athletes though using that product, and we want to obviously establish ourselves a bit more. I've been overwhelmed with the progress we've made in the last sort of 12 months in the US and Europe and the UK. But I think partnering with other brands is a huge thing, and finding ways to deliver value to tennis players and athletes alike. But we're working on a number of things. I think we're taking the approach though that we don't do anything just for the sake of doing it. We do it because we think we can actually make a difference. And a lot of people come to me and say, well, do you want to maybe do apparel or something like that? And I say, well, I'd love to, but I'd love to once I know that we can actually make a difference there and do it in a way that I actually feel like is making a difference to the market and also to the community. So I think that's kind of where our focus is.
Can you talk a little bit about where the Cancha bag is sold and how people can get it, what the price point is, and all of that?
Yeah, of course. So we sold primarily on our website, canchabags.com. We're also sold on Tennis Warehouse in the US. So and we have a variety of different bags and accessories. So the price point changes, but we're sort of just over $100 up to sort of $200+ depending on how many bags and accessories you buy. But we ship worldwide. We actually partner with a shipping provider in the UK that allows us to ship all of our orders carbon neutral. So regardless of where it goes in the world, we're actually able to neutralize our carbon emissions through that, which is which gives us the opportunity to really ship worldwide.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I'll say, you sent me a bag and I've played with it a little bit. And I think, to me, the most unique feature of the bag is the ability to snap the components on and off as you need them. So if you're just going out for a hit and all you need is rackets and balls and maybe a towel, that'll all fit inside the main bag. But if you're packing for an event and you need snacks and you need your first aid stuff and you need a change of clothing and an extra pair of shoes, there are different pieces that you can just attach to the main bag, and that all goes with you very easily. So as you're saying before, the bag doesn't have to be so heavy and bulky on a day-to-day basis, but can be added to as you need it to be.
Yeah, and I think something that's actually come to my attention, which I hadn't foreseen, is that we actually see a lot of families buying Cancha bags within their family because we have this ecosystem where everything can attach to everything through this modular design. So, you know, the backpack can actually attach to the racket bag, but it can also attach to the wet dry bag, attaches to the racket bag. So all these different bags and accessories attached to one another and are compatible with one another. So we have, you know, family members who, you know, parents might have a backpack and the kid has a tennis bag, and they can swap around accessories between them as and when they need them. So that's something that's really surprised me over the last sort of year or so, where we've seen that happen.
Sorry, I'm having an issue with my mic. I'm just trying to fix that real quick.
That's fine.
There we go. Yeah. So one of the things, the bag that you sent me, how it differs from the bag I have been using. The bag I have been using has all these compartments and zippers and things like that. And I had stuff stashed everywhere. And twice a year, I have to dump it all out and clean out all the, the Band-Aid wrappers and the empty Cliff Bar wrappers and, all of those things. Instead of doing that, your main bag is really just for the rackets. I mean, that's what goes in the main piece. And then all of the accessory pieces are to hold and easily remove the stuff you don't need. And that makes it a bit easier for somebody like me who I play recreationally, but when I go to a match, I got to make sure I've got all my stuff because, I got to stay hydrated. I got to make sure if I get a blister, I can take care of it, all those things. And it's very cool. Very cool. So you'd mentioned more partnerships coming in 2022, possibly, expanding the line a bit more. What else do we need to know about Cancha? Where can we find you? What's the price point on the bag? Or you talked a little bit about the $100 to $200, depending on what you do. But are you on social media? Can people follow you? All that.
Yeah. So we're on social media on just about every channel, I suppose, at
Cool.
Cancha Bags. So that's our handle: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that sort of stuff. Our website is canchabags.com. So that's the way you can find all about us, also about our commitments, sustainability wise. You can find out more about where our materials come from, all that sort of stuff, our journey so far, and of course all of our bags.
Did you grow up with this idea of saving the planet, giving back, making sure to protect the forest and the wildlife and all of those things? Or is this something that's developed in you as you've gone through your tennis experience and other life experiences?
I think I owe just about everything to two things. I'd say my parents and tennis. And I mean that because tennis is a sport that teaches you a huge amount of things in life, and I owe everything to it. It's allowed me, it's given me the drive to pursue different things, it's given me the confidence to, but it's also given me the ability to bounce back from difficulties, which I think happens to a tennis player all the time. And so I think I'm able to, I've had a huge amount of support with my team and everyone along the way, and it's hopefully we're just getting started. But I think even to be able to start Cancha, I think it was because of tennis, and the idea came from my time on tennis, but also the confidence and to be able to do it came from tennis. So as speaking to parents, I think that I would encourage them to, not to, one thing I was very lucky about is my parents never forced me to play tennis. It was always something I wanted to do, and that really made the bug even stronger because it was always something I wanted to do. So I think as parents, if you can, obviously if you can encourage tennis, that's great. But I think if you can let it grow and within them, that passion, it will serve them for the rest of their life. It really will.
I love that. You are echoing a message that I say all the time. So well done. It's almost like I coached you ahead of time, but of course I did not. Well, Jack, thanks so much for being with us. And I really wish you all the success with Cancha and whatever the future holds for you and your company. And thank you for sending me a bag. I'm, going to keep playing with it. And hopefully people are going to start asking questions about, hey, what's that cool bag? Where'd you get it? How can I get one? And I'll be glad to pass along your contact info, but stay in touch and keep us posted on what's going on. And, when there's big news to report, I hope you'll reach out and come back on the podcast.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate it. Thank you.
To my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.